practices baseball whenever he can. He's 7 and in the 2nd grade at the Hemingway School in Framingham, Massachusetts. Pam Daly, his mother, is a regular volunteer in William's computer and art classes. We visited 4 times in the course of the year to find out how William is becoming a reader.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
1, 2, eyes on you.
Oh, look at Ariel, even looking around. Excellent.
My name is Stacy Soto, and I teach 2nd grade inclusion program at Hemingway Elementary School in Framingham, Massachusetts.
Is Hermione.
Hermione, and that's from
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. That's why I'm so out of the loop here.
Every grade level has one inclusion classroom, which has 12 identified special needs children who have varied needs, and 12 regular ed role models.
That's right. Everything we do has to do with what?
I am the regular educator.
Give me an example of
We have a full-time special educator, which is Karen Watson. I bet 90% of people that come in here wouldn't be able to pick out which children have which needs.
Okay, William's going to share the schedule with us in a nice, loud voice.
9:05 morning meeting, 9:30 centers, 11 o'clock language arts.
When William first came in, William was a regular 2nd grade boy that loved his friends, loved to talk, very, very social.
2:40 pack up story.
He's very outgoing. He's very friendly, very confident.
Nice job, William. Good job. Yes, McKay.
He's also very critical of himself. He gets very frustrated. He expects to do the best all the time. You know, everything has to be perfect.
This is a book I chose because there are so many connections to our lives. So William, I'm going to start with you, with your running record, okay? So Sam, Nick, and Kevin, you guys can go over and sit on the rug and read quietly. You can look at it for a minute while I get my papers. He portrayed himself as being a much more confident, independent reader than he was really capable of being. You can take a picture walk first. Okay, so that way you have an idea of what the book's about. So he'd sit down and pretend to read this book, and then afterwards you'd ask him a question. He had no idea because he really was struggling. You ready? Okay, can you start with the title?
Ronnie's house.
Look at it again. Yes, correct.
Rosie's house. Simon sat on a packing case in the kitchen. I don't like...
And I was concerned about his reading at the beginning of the year. At the end of last year, I wasn't happy where he was at with reading, and my conferences last year, it was a big thing. He went into school not really knowing how to read that well.
I don't like it for... I wish we hadn't moved.
In this school, we've adopted the guided reading from Irene Fountas. And our approach to reading is to have them work in small groups at their own instructional level, which means they have a little bit less than 90% accuracy.
Happy here. Just wait until...
If you think of the alphabet, A is 1st grade, beginning 1st grade. I is end of 1st grade. Then after I comes J, K, L, and M of 2nd grade. And anything after M, N to P is really considered 3rd grade level.
She said you can ask her if she feels homesick too.
And so I moved him into an I browsing box, which means independently, and I put him in a J reading group, and we read Henry and Mudge. I remember the first book we read, and he said, I can read this whole thing. All of a sudden, the light bulb went off. His writing increased, his mechanics increased, his reading increased, his hand is up in the air. He feels like a new kid.
I wish I was a guinea pig, he said, as he is squished between 2 packing cases to reach the back door. I wish we still had our old house. She's checking them off and see how good, but if I'm stuck on a word, she has to write. But then every time I get better at it.
And in a very short time, at the beginning of the year, he started getting it.
Simon bent down and left.
She must have made it fun for William. I mean, not to struggle, and it's okay to not know every word, you know, and to be able to skip over it. Hearing from me, I guess, just doesn't, didn't click.
See, but remember where the checks are means you got the word correct? And there's just a few, and a lot of them where I wrote like S-O, that just means you sounded it out. Okay, so do you think that this book looks like something you can read? Mm-hmm. I think so too. You did a very nice job. Nick, can you come on over? William's really using the pictures. He's sounding things out. He's going back where before it would just, he would make a guess and not go back knowing that it didn't make sense. So you can see that he's already progressing, and I can see that I have him at the right place. A big part of assessment in second grade reading is, do the children understand what they're reading? Can they make connections? Okay, William, what's your text-to-self or text-to-text connection?
When I moved in, I had to make new friends.
So just like Simon had to move, did you like moving?
No,
Why
because I had to make new friends. I didn't know anybody.
And how does that feel inside when you're not sure?
Just a little bit scared.
A little bit scared, that's right. So now you understand how Simon felt in the beginning when he was sad that he had moved. That's a very good connection. That's different. Look how, I told you this book was full of connections. He made one because his friend had a guinea pig. Yours was about moving. Kevin's was a text-to-text. Now, my friend Nick, what's your connection?
That once when I lost a bionicle.
Once you lost a bionicle.
You're supposed to read this, then you have to color a picture of it. Then on the back you have to write 3 questions about that you want to know about the story.
The whole approach to reading is to make sure that they're reading in a guided reading group for about 20 minutes a day, and then they also have to do comprehension activities to make sure they're understanding what they're reading. Whether we're doing visualization, where they have to draw a picture of what came in their head when they read, and that's showing understanding. If they have to ask questions that they would like to ask the author before they read on, that's understanding. If they have to predict what's going to happen, that shows that they understood. Another part of our big program is that we really focus on the independent reading, where they're reading for enjoyment. And that's when they're responsible for reading books that they choose in their browsing box. A browsing box is a box that has their name on it, and it has 4 to 5 books at their level. So they take 4 or 5 books, and they keep them for a week or longer if they want to. And that's why we've adapted the Cozy Corner so that the kids are comfortable. And parents have said that this year, they're starting to snuggle up on the couch and read at home because they're used to it from doing it in school and because we value it so much.
Sometimes at night I read to my baby sister and my mom. Sometimes I just read by myself. I like the Magic Treehouse books because they have lots of cool series and they go on adventures. There's only 2 characters in the book, but they're in every series.
And he's so motivated by that I let him have one of those in his browsing box. I am going to be checking in with him more often than other children in the independent reading because he has a book that I really think is not in his independent level. So frequent check-ins, comprehension questions to make sure he knows what's happening in the book is really going to keep him going. Okay, everyone sitting next to somebody, look who you're around, make sure you're next to a good learning friend. So this book is all about this little mouse named Sheila Ray, and she's very brave. Let's find out why she's brave. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to read the story to you, okay? And after we read the story, we have a bunch of the copies of this book, and we're going to pass them out, and every group is going to be part of a literature circle, and then we're going to discuss it as a whole class. Okay, so listen carefully while we read it. This book is by Kevin Hanks. Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder or lightning. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. I think she's really brave. What do you think? Oh, yeah. The primary task of second graders when they're reading is because now that they have this brand new skill, they need to practice it. And they need to practice it for enjoyment, for answering questions, for fun, for work, for everything. When they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." "We both are," said Louise. And they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. Okay, I know we can make a lot of connections to this book, but we're going to do it right now in literature circles. And we're going to do it in a group, and then we're going to present it to the group. You guys are the summarizers. You need to think about what happens in the book. The summary, not the whole thing, word for word. Okay, who can tell William what's the first thing that we should put to summarize this book? Shayna?
Tell them what kind of animal she is.
So we should say Sheila the mouse was what?
Brave.
Good.
Sheila the mouse was brave. She wasn't afraid of a big black dog. Then she got lost. She started to get scared. She started to cry. Then her sister took her home, and they were both heroes.
The best goal ever that I could hope for William for the end of this year would be that his parents would tell me that he wants 10 more minutes before he goes to bed to finish a chapter in a book, or he wants to go to the bookstore or a library and take out a new book, because that's just showing that he's loving to read. Run up to the rug and make a horseshoe with one in the middle for a morning meeting. Why don't you two go check the anemometer?
What is it? Calm wind? Calm. Yeah, calm. Let's go. Uh-oh. No, actually, thank you. Thank you. How old are you? Calm. It's a calm wind.
In the last 5 or 6 weeks, a huge difference in the class of the children's independence, that they're ready to take on the role of their own learning and being responsible for it much more, and they're taking pride in their work, and they're seeing the growth. Right now, what we are going to be doing is we are going to do our spelling, write and rewrite. It's Monday, so we have a new list of words for you to practice this week at home and at school and spelling centers.
I'm going to give you some cards and your list, and you can get started.
William has met all the goals that I had for him up to this point. He is now definitely reading at least a K independently, and I believe he's even higher than that. We're trying to move him slowly rather than as quickly as he wants to, because we want to make sure that comprehension piece is there and that he's not just so excited he can read the physical words. The comprehension goes by the wayside. The way we judge if we're ready to move on with spelling is if we see it in their writing. Every Monday, or if it's a long weekend on Tuesdays, they write about their weekend. It's something they own. It's their history. And then we indent again for a detail, and indent again for you. When they write about their weekend, they have to give it a rating, a 4, 3, 2, or 1, 4 being spectacular, 1 being not so good. In the beginning, every kid had a spectacular weekend every single weekend. I said, I wished I was that lucky, because not every weekend is spectacular. Spectacular means it was out of the ordinary.